really excited about today's topic, man.
Financing. Do we get a home or a car first?
Make sure that you tune in to the end to understand that what do we think, or how do you actually do both at the same time.
Looking at it from a property investor's perspective, when people are actually talking about should I get a car loan first or a home loan first, it actually shows you that we're digging deeper into general ledger. So at the end of the day, accounting did not run away, so we're going back to it, man.
I mean, no, please don't confuse me with all of these jargons speaking about general ledger and whatnot, right? Let's just keep it as simple as possible, right? So for me, I think the first point that I'd actually like to point out is that it all goes down to your priority, right? So we have this lady that is our client. She asked us not to ever speak about her name. She was recently in this particular situation that what does she do first? Does she buy a property first or does she buy a car first? So now the first thing that I would actually like to highlight is that priorities are different from one person to another. I mean, if you already have a car and you're asking yourself, should I buy my second car or should I buy a property? Then I mean, that goes without saying that you need to buy a property because you already have a car to move around, right? However, if you're in a situation whereby you need to choose that, do I buy a car right now or do I buy a property right now? That's where it becomes really interesting to understand that how do you actually position yourself, or what do you really want more? Do you want a property right now? Do you want to move out from where you're living right now? Or do you want to start your property journey? Wink, wink. If you want to become a property investor, please do contact Non-Wealth. However, if you'd like to move out right now from where you're living right now, then obviously your priorities are with the property. However, if you need to actually travel around in order for you to actually increase your business and get that thing going, then definitely you need to go for the car. So the first point that I'd like to make is that what is your huge priority right now? Is it the car or is it the house?
I mean, it was very awesome when we were actually preparing for this and we were looking at how we cannot separate business from personal. Why am I saying that? I mean, if you're looking at it from a personal perspective and you're like, you know what, I'm pressed right now, I need to move out, or I'm pressed right now, I need to have a car, and then let's just say next year you want to buy another car for whether it's investment or you want to buy another house, whether it is for investment, the first initial loan that you took is going to somehow affect that loan that you will be applying for.
Most definitely, because now people like saying that, let us separate myself from my business. Honestly speaking, that is not possible. Remember, every cent that you're actually spending on personal could have went to business. And now I'm not saying that every cent needs to go to the business, right? But now remember, if say for instance right now you are really sick and you need to go to the doctor and you need to take out 5,000, that 5,000 could be used for the business. However, the priority right now is with getting your health good. So that would go towards your personal. In that going to your personal, that basically means that the business actually lost 5,000, especially if you're really starting your business right now. So now, being able to separate the two, especially when you start, is really hard.
Let's just simplify, what are we speaking about today? We're speaking about income versus expenses. We're talking about asset versus liability. In its simplest form, asset is a plus, liability is a minus. So now if we are into business, I mean, we are property investors and we provide content about property investing. So I guess we are a bit biased to getting that house, getting a property. And however now, what we want to actually do, we want to put different case scenarios for you so that you can actually see how all of this will actually unfold. I cannot say on record right now that you don't need a car. I'd rather go into property only to find out that you need a car to actually go around
doing the
viewings, getting a contractor, buying material. So as you can see that you do somehow need a car. So how do you actually balance everything in terms of, so guys, what should I do? Should I be buying a car? And then only after should I be buying a house? So at the end of the day, if you are in that situation whereby you need a car to actually run your business, then you actually have to look at affordability. So now, what car do you really need? You can actually get something that's very cost efficient ultimately that is not going to affect your affordability in the long run. Because now, look at it in this way: if you are earning up to 30,000 and then you go out to buy a car, let's say your insurance, installments and maintenance goes up to about 9,000. That is a whopping 30%, not even considering your other expenses. So already you can see that the weight of that decision will have a huge impact towards your application of that property in the future.
I think for me on my side, right, is that I need to take a calculated decision. If I'm going to go with the property, then I need to understand what are the replications for not buying the car. And if I'm not buying the car and I'm buying a property, I need to know that what are the implications of that, right? So what I would do is that I'll sit down and have a spreadsheet that if I'm going to be using X amount of money, how much would my affordability be? Let me show you a way how to do it both, right? I don't think Neo actually saw it coming. So what I would do is that I would buy a property below market value, way below market value. I mean, in order for you to know how to buy it below market value, you'd need to know someone that's within the property industry that can actually tell you that this property is below market value. So now say for instance, this property, it's actually worth 1 million and you are actually buying it at 500,000. This basically means that you have equity of 500,000. You could actually go back to the bank and ask for a loan on that particular 500,000. So now if you're going to be going for car financing, chances are you're going to actually have this loan for the next 5 years or 6 years, depending on the negotiations that you had with that particular financing institution.
Not forgetting your balloon.
Not forgetting your balloon payment. So now it can actually take you up to 6 to 7 years. So now when you already have that particular situation, you can then go to the bank if you bought the property below market value and ask for a loan on top of that property that you have. In that way, you can actually take that money and pay the car off cash, right? In that way, you have the property and you also have the car. So now the thing that I like with the home loan is that it is actually stretched through 20 years, right? And it being stretched to 20 years doesn't necessarily mean that you need to actually wait for the 20 years. What you could actually do is that you could pay it on a monthly basis at the rate that you would have actually paid it when you're buying a car. And now remember, with home finances, it's actually cheaper when you're looking at it from an interest rate perspective. So when you're looking at a car, you might actually be paying around 9%, and when you're looking at a house, you might actually be paying 7%. So now those particular percentages actually play a huge role. So that's the way that I would do it if I really needed both at the same time.
But I'd like to bring the point that you made back to what we made initially, that especially when it comes to refinancing, taking off money as a loan from the property that you had, you need to make sure that you're investing it in an asset, going back to the plus and minus, because once you invested in a negative, which is a liability, the thing about a car is the wear and tear over time. The car is going to deteriorate, right? So now what will eventually happen is that you've got this car, maybe you bought it because you wanted to flex, however you couldn't actually maintain the car, so over time the wear and tears actually catches up. And then now you're sitting with a problem because you've got a refinance, you've got a house, you actually took a home loan on top of it. However, you invested it in a car, which is a depreciating asset, or if you want to call it a liability. Before we went into the property space, we were in the e-hailing space.
That was a headache, eh?
So what e-hailing is, it's an online headache. E-hailing is basically when we're referring to you have a car, you put it on a platform, and then somebody drives it for you, and then whether it's on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis, depending on your arrangement, you get paid on that way because they're using your car. So what happens is that as time goes on, the person's basically renting your car, right? So what's going to happen is that over time, your car will be outdated. And what does that leave you with? If you're not using the cash flow in a positive manner whereby you're already investing it in something else, what's going to happen is that eventually, if the car is like, I've had it, now you're sitting with a car that nobody wants, even the platform rejected, and then what the driver will do, they'll find another car and you are left with this.
So what would then happen is that you would actually get an offer, a ridiculous offer compared to how much you actually paid.
Yeah.
So I remember there was an instance where the second car was really in a bad condition, right? The value of the car was sitting at 150, close to 200,000. And the person that bought the car actually bought it at 60,000 because of the condition of that particular car. So if you are actually going to be buying a car, just make sure that why are you buying that car? Is it an asset or is it a liability?
Yeah.
If it is an asset, make sure that the money that you're actually getting, you are using it in a good way, whereby if it does wear and tear, it doesn't make a difference to you because you already made your money back.
Yeah. Right now, we are actually enjoying our property journey. It's been quite awesome. From renting to also flipping, understanding both fields. Oh, and we did a poll. So these are the results that people said they would go for: car financing or home financing.
So what we also do on Instagram is that we host regular lives with property experts. I mean, no matter if you're in interior designing or if you're a carpenter, as long as you are in the property space, we interview those people and we have a blast. So if you aren't actually following us on Instagram, make sure that you do follow us to get that notification when we do the lives.
Or if you have not actually had an interaction with us and you're thinking about buying your first property as an investment, please do hit the link below under Calendly so that you can book a Zoom meeting. Simple as that, it's done. We will be there. Best be sure that you are there and let us add value towards your property journey.
Well,
Signing out.